Welcome, friends, to Dog Grooming Unleashed. We are Leigh and Michelle Caluneo. Our mission is to create a safe, welcoming space for dog groomers and pet lovers to come together to learn, laugh, and feel supported. So join us as we build a community where pet parents and groomers can come together. We also want to help groomers grow in their skills, share their struggles, and feel connected to others in the industry. So get ready to learn and laugh. We're so excited to have you here. Welcome to Dog Groomers Unleashed. I'm Michelle Caluneo.
And I'm Leigh. Guys, I don't know if you know me and Michelle or both, or if it's your first time tuning into us, but we're so glad you're here. We are creating a community. It's called Dog Grooming Unleashed. It's unfiltered. Me and Michelle together having conversations, real world conversations about dog grooming. We are both pet groomers with a lot of experience, but we each bring something special to the grooming table. And you're going to see that in every episode.
You didn't even see us coming.
Yes. But we're so glad you're here.
But we're so glad you're here. All right, today we're going to talk about senior dogs.
Oh, yeah. Boy, that's a topic, Michelle.
That's a good one, right?
Mm-hmm. Senior dogs in the grooming salon. What it's like for the dog, what it's like for the groomer.
Yeah.
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 Well, I've got a lot of experience in that. I'm sure you do too. Can you think
Yeah.
of something right offhand that you'd like to share with the audience? Just a situation that you've been in, and we're of course going to give a lot of good advice about grooming senior dogs, how to keep them comfortable, maybe what
Yes.
they're feeling in the grooming salon, why they can be a little challenging, and we have to be very careful with them.
We have to be so careful with them. I think it's hard too, especially when they've been coming to you for a long time and you watch that decline. Like that's hard too, But you need to know. I think when you've always been able to get good grooms and now you're getting to the point where you really can't. And I think as a groomer, especially, we strive for excellence. We want to
Yeah.
do a beautiful job. It's really hard for us to just be like, okay, now your face is just not going to look good.
Yeah.
But it's important to know when to stop. And yeah, I just recently had a Maltese that I've been grooming for a long time, and he had always been really, really tough, and then it just got to the point where I really couldn't do anything on his face anymore. But I think it's so important that we communicate well with the owners too,
Mhm.
why they're going to look this way now and why we can only do so much, but it's still going to cost the same because we're
Yeah.
spending a lot of time.
Yeah.
But
It's important to communicate with the clients and keep them in the loop. We're on a team.
yeah,
Us, the pet, the client, and the groomer. We're on a team for the pet. I've noticed that the best thing is the communication with my clients about the changes that are going on with their dog, and then they can chime in and they'll say, I have noticed that he's hard of hearing. Sometimes I
yeah,
practically step on him, he doesn't even hear me coming or anything, and they're like, so I get it, I get what you're saying. And I'll say, and that carries into the grooming salon too, and I have to be
yeah.
very in tune with him to keep him
Or when
safe.
they think they've lost their hearing, but they're actually just not listening. That's my
They're
favorite.
ignoring when they're sleeping so hard, they're snoring.
Or they're just getting grumpy and old, and they're like,
Yeah.
they're just not listening to their owners. A lot of times they're legitimately going deaf, but I think sometimes too,
Mhm.
as they get a little bit older, they tend to just do their own thing.
Well, here's what a lot of people don't realize with senior dogs, and I'm sure a lot of groomers do. But if we have any new groomers out here listening, perk your ears up. This is important to understand: is that when dogs age, their skin thins, just like people.
Mhm.
And when a dog's skin thins, they're very touchy, very sensitive. Why? Because their nerve endings are closer to the surface. So you often wonder, why does he doesn't like to be brushed anymore. He really acts like it's kind of painful. It may be painful because
Yeah.
of that skin is thinning as they age. And that's one thing that I always remind myself of when I'm working with a senior dog, as well as that they are losing some of their keen senses, the sight, the hearing.
Yes.
They rely on those, and now it makes them feel vulnerable when they don't have those keen senses that they've relied on their whole life.
And they
They're
become more
not readily
anxious.
available to them anymore,
Yeah.
those senses, so it makes them vulnerable.
Yeah. And more
Um,
anxious for sure. I'll see them as they will decline in that area too, where they were a little bit more confident and now they come in and they're a lot more nervous. So, what are some of your favorite tools that you like to use on senior dogs? Like, I like a
um,
belly band.
I'm very careful with belly bands. If I use any, I typically take one of those sheepskin.
That's what I like, yeah. The
Yes,
thick ones, yeah.
it goes over your car seatbelt, okay?
Yes.
Because when another thing with belly bands that can be scary is you got to remember the dog is, as we're assisting them stand with it, the dog is probably hanging a lot of weight
Yes.
on that, and they do have main arteries right down in there, going down in that abdomen groined area,
Yeah.
and you could be cutting blood flow off. You
Yeah, you gotta be careful.
So, another thing I suggested one time to somebody who asked me, "What can I do?" I said, "Well, even you could get a pool noodle and cut
Yeah.
it, make it about this long, slice it so you can open it, put it around an actual grooming loop, and have that be your second loop. But that cushion is taking, adding that little shock absorber there between their main
Yeah.
arteries. And so that's
So it's
one
almost
thing.
like someone's holding them. That's how I feel. Or
Yeah.
I'll double up a towel on larger dogs
Yes.
and put it underneath. And I'll even use a towel sometimes and have like if the owner's there to help me walk them to the tub and I'll put a towel underneath them and
To
kind of
help.
hammock it. And then and that's a good tip that when I finally figured it out for the larger dogs, it was so helpful because otherwise you're
Yeah.
just putting your arms around them and you're trying to I've had some big shepherds and some big goldens and golden doodles that were big senior dogs that
Yeah.
really required a lot of physical labor to get in the tub. And so, because usually
And
for
they're
my,
big dogs, so it's
yeah,
hard for you.
and they're heavy,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's a great method, what you just shared. This is why we just want to add so much value,
Yeah.
for our viewers. But that's a great method, to help assist them. It's something that you can easily leverage as a
Yes.
small petite groomer. It's not easy.
We're just such tiny little things.
Yeah, we're so little,
So
but
little.
that's great. So, as far as tools, methods, and stuff for senior dogs, you might want to invest, as a groomer or as a pet owner. If we still have to brush our dogs, but remember that skin is more sensitive. So you might need to invest a little more in some more flexible and less aggressive slicker brushes. People say, well, can I just
Yes.
use a pen brush? Well, I still say, oh, if you have to, but I will tell you, you're not going to be removing any dead coat with a
Yeah.
pen brush like you would a slicker brush. And we don't, want our senior dogs to be matted because now
No.
we're talking about a terrible grooming session ahead of them.
Yeah.
So, and another thing is, Michelle, I do it, and I'm anxious to hear what you say. I often will tell them, we're going to go with a more shorter, manageable trim
Yes.
because so you can do less brushing at home because there's not as much hair to maintain. The upkeep is
Yes.
simpler. It's easier on the dog. More importantly, it's easier on the dog. So, obviously we're not going to take them down with a 7 blade. Their coat protects their skin, and we
Yes.
already know their skin is thinning, right?
Right.
So we're not going to do a 7 blade, but we might go with maybe a 3/8 inch guard comb if we can
Yeah.
do that on the body. Your dogs are not going to be outside unless they need to be, especially as senior dogs.
Yeah, it's so important, and to understand that each dog is different. And so, you're not going to treat them all the same. It's not like they get to a certain age and all of a sudden, this is how we're going to groom them from now on. You're really just going to go with what that dog can handle
Yeah.
and how it's comfortable for you just want that's our main goal, right? Is to make the dog comfortable, but also we want to make them pretty and do what's best for their coat and skin. And like I go back to where I was like, it's really hard for us sometimes. And I think of this Maltese where I was just like, yeah, like I don't want to send him out like that. But I couldn't get my shears near his face. I couldn't get the clippers near his face. So anything, that was from here up was just no, it was a no-go.
It becomes dangerous. I find sometimes that I'm not a big fan of using the 5-in-1 clippers with guard combs to do entire grooms. I just feel it takes me longer. I can do a
Yeah.
better job with a wide guard comb,
Yeah, yeah, me
you
too.
know. So I find though with puppies and senior dogs, so they kind of suffer the
Yeah.
same thing sometimes that I can go for that 5-in-1 clipper with guard combs and get somewhere with them around the face and the head area with when they are being sensitive to that as they age,
Yeah.
that sometimes I find that the 5-in-1 may get me there, but some of them are still like, nope. And
Yeah.
the only reason is
That's a
because
good tip.
it's quieter.
It's
It
quieter.
vibrates
Yeah.
less.
It's less intense. That's a great tip, you
And
know?
sometimes it works, and
Yeah.
sometimes they still say no.
No, no. They're just gonna be cranky.
I'm
Yes.
gonna be cranky. I'm not doing that.
Uh-huh.
Another thing, Michelle, I would like to hear your advice on this and speak to this as a groomer. What I find forced drying, the drying process, anything with the drying process becomes something that can be very hard and difficult for a senior dog to endure.
Yes.
What have you noticed, and what do you do? What do you do?
So I don't I don't work for Pet, but I will tell you that I just started using some of their products and they have a hands-free dryer. So, and
Mm.
again, I don't work for these guys. They just sent me some stuff. I made them a couple videos, like, and this is so good, honest. This is real raw feedback.
Ooh, we like that.
Yes. So, they have a a hands-free dryer, the neck
I have
one.
it.
Yeah. Oh, hey, do you? Yeah. That's
Yes,
really,
I love it.
it's pretty quiet and I'll just hold it sometimes.
Yeah.
So I did a
Instead of put
video.
it here.
Yeah, I did a video with me blow drying the cats with it, and they were great, right? Where my old rickety giant blow dryer is a little more loud.
Yeah.
That works really well. But they have a cabin dryer, which I know, and we could probably do a whole podcast on like cage drying, and how people feel
Hmm.
about that.
But it's not really a cage
It's
dryer, though.
not cage drying, it's
No.
different,
Yeah.
and it's got all these safety features. So when I first got it, they sent it to me and I was, kind of on the fence of it looked scary, and I did a video and I even said I feel like I just put Daisy in a microwave. So I literally sat in front of this for 30 minutes while she was in it and like ate popcorn and like ate my snack and just watched her. And I'd like open it up and I'd like stick my face in and be like, does it smell like it's
What?
burning? Is there enough oxygen? Like, and
Yeah.
she fell asleep. She was just like just hanging
Oh.
out with her little face on the
So
thing. And
it's
so
warm. It's quiet. It's not like
yes.
you know. It's
It's like
quiet.
sitting in
Warm.
the back of the car, I say, like with the windows down. The dogs love that. That's what
Yes.
it
Yeah.
reminds me of.
Wow.
Anyways, I have this thing and I will never not have one of these. This thing is a game changer for senior dogs. So I know everybody probably can't afford something like this, or if you're able to get one, I'm sure there's other brands or whatever. And again,
Hmm.
like I don't work for them, but if you're
Yeah.
able to get some kind of safe
Safe.
little cabin dryer like this, it is such a game changer for senior
Yeah.
dogs. And Daisy gets mad when I blow dry her face. Like she gets
Yeah.
downright angry with me,
Yes.
as Shih Tzus do. You know how they
Mhm.
are.
Yeah.
They're a
But
little spicy.
she likes this experience with the
Yeah,
pet cabin dryer. Yeah, that's
yeah,
great, and possibly it's something that every groomer should consider having in their salon,
yeah.
especially for puppies or senior dogs too.
Puppies too, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it takes a little bit longer, but I mean, I'm a one-on-one salon, and I find that I can put a dog in there, and then I'll maybe clean up, or the
Yeah.
next dog will come and I'll get them in the bath, and then as soon as they're done, I'll take them out and then put them in the dryer. So,
Yeah.
obviously, I do big dogs too. So obviously, this isn't going to work for all the dogs, and it's really just the one I have is really for
It's
small ones.
smaller dogs. Do they make
Yeah.
different sizes on that, or it's just one size that they
I
make?
believe they do.
Okay.
So, yeah, I
Interesting.
even called them and was like, "Hey, like if you want to send me a big one, I could make so many videos." And they were
Because
like, "Well,
you
we're
do a
not."
lot of big dogs.
Yeah.
Yes. So then you're like, okay, well, this is great for the little ones, but the
Yeah.
big ones. And speaking to that, four stripe, let's say a Samoyed. I had one I groomed for years and years and years through his whole life. And he's brought in religiously every 5 weeks, which was wonderful, but
That's wonderful.
very thick coat, right? As he aged, the standing was a problem. Of course, I would let him sit as much as possible, but just the fact that his grooming session took 3 hours
Yeah.
from bath condition, blow dry, brush out, and light snipping around the areas, it took 3 good hours, and I was humping it to get that
Mhm.
done in 3 hours for him to get it done as quick as possible, but as thorough.
Yeah.
And we ended up having to break apart his grooming session. So he would be scheduled done on, say, a Tuesday. He would come in and we would do bath, condition, blowout, brush out. He'd come back in the next day, give him a
Yeah.
break. And then I would kind of do the force dryer, mist in a little brush out spray in there, and do a quick little fluff up. Didn't take me long again,
Yeah.
brush him out again. And then, do some light trimming. We always did trimming around his feet, his kind of his silhouette underneath the
Yeah.
underline,
Yeah.
around the hiney. And we had to break it apart. So sometimes that needs to happen for senior dogs, especially like the double coated, big, heavy coated dogs that the grooming session is lengthy. That can even go for an old, say, poodle or doodle,
Yeah.
right? They still might need to do that because they still, after we bathe and brush and dry and get them to that point in the groom, they're pretty wore out by then if they're older. So they can go home tomorrow. We can bring them back. Ideally, we want to trim dogs immediately after we do the coat prep,
Yeah.
but life isn't ideal with a senior dog. At that point,
Yeah.
you're just doing what you can. And that little break is good for them, that day break. And these are people that are on your schedule. So you schedule it that way. Next
Yeah.
5 weeks, he's scheduled Tuesday at 9, scheduled Wednesday at 10, or Wednesday at 9 again to finish the groom. So I've had to do
And you
that with senior dogs.
modified what he needed, and you modified like treatment almost like for him. And so like
Yeah.
that's what I mean. I think that that's what's so important is that they're not all going to be the same, right? So
Yeah.
all the dogs are going to come, they're all going to need different things. Some of them, I had a giant schnauzer that I groomed forever, and she was a senior dog, and she was at my shop for, I mean, between 4.5 and 5 hours. I mean, we had to bath and then half blow dry. And
Yeah.
then she had to go on the floor for a little while. And
Sure.
and let me tell you, she would have the most awful gas the whole time. She was like a nervous gas dog. So it was like the whole time she was there,
Oh,
I'd be like, like it was
come
like,
on, Michelle. If you're like me, I always blame it on the dog.
I'll
It was
take credit for
you.
it, right?
It
It's
was
just me
you.
there.
It's a dog. Woo.
Speaking of gas, the other day I had two Australian Labradoodles there, and I said to her, "Oh, did they get into something? I mean, they have awful gas, right?" So one of them, I knew it was coming from him, and then I had the other one on the table, and I'm like, "What the heck? Like, no way, this one has gas too." So I stick my nose, like you know how we smell everything. I like stuck my nose like right at his back end on the table, and was like, "No." So and I was like, "Oh, it's you too." I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So
But
here
you just had to go there. Had to
I
make
had
sure.
to.
Oh yeah. We're
But why are
gross
we so
like that.
weird? It's because we care. It's because we care
It
about your
is.
dog so much that we're gonna do things like sniff their ears and their mouth
Yeah,
and
we
yeah,
do. We
yeah,
do. I'm not grossed out by any of that as a groomer. A lot of people always ask me that, especially speaking of senior dogs.
yeah.
Boy, can they have some breath issues because they're
Oh
getting
yeah.
decay and the gums are
Periodontal
receding. They've
disease.
got all these
Yeah,
problems. It's a given with some. Some are
yeah,
able to escape that their whole lives and they never really have a problem with tooth decay or anything. But boy, that death breath can be really bad. And speaking of tooth decay, on the same topic of senior dogs,
yeah,
that's often a reason why they're so touchy around their face
yes,
is because their teeth do hurt. So
yeah,
if we're touching here, if they're like, it hurts. And you'll notice this if you've grown a dog through their whole life. It wasn't a problem before, but it is
yeah,
now. And also losing of sight when you're coming at your hands are coming in, they're like, oh,
yeah.
all of a
And
sudden,
now this hurts. Yeah,
yeah. They're
yeah,
they're they're feeling like they don't see you coming until you're really coming at them, and they get a little uncomfortable because they don't see so well anymore. And that could have a
mm,
lot to do with struggling with trimming the heads on senior dogs, is from losing sight, sensitive teeth,
yeah.
just the touching, anything touching it, the clipper running like hurts. It does hurt.
I
Bad teeth
always check their
hurt.
mouths too and look for tartar and gum disease, and that's important. That's an important part of our job. We know that. And this way I can tell the parents too, like,
Mhm.
I think they're definitely probably ready for a dental, when's your next, vet appointment?
Yeah,
If it's not for a year, then I would take them sooner. If it's
yeah,
in a month, then I think you're okay. But
yeah.
that's huge. I mean, just like us, obviously dental hygiene is something I care about, and
Yeah,
so
me too. I'm like always brushing my
yeah,
teeth.
it's important. I mean, you only this is it. Like we don't
Yeah,
sprout a new set in our 60s, and
right.
dogs
No.
don't either. Once they lose those puppy teeth, they
Yeah.
get their permanent dentition and then that's it. Those are their teeth. They need them. And they can get toothaches and stuff like that, just like how we do. So it's important that
Yeah.
we're
And it
we're
is painful. It
yeah.
is painful when you can even tell if we always as groomers do lift the gums, take a look and
Yeah.
take a peek, even if it's not a senior dog, all dogs,
Yeah, yeah.
just see if everything looks healthy in there. Nice pink gums, not white gums. White gums represent some type of deficiency or, like infection, oftentimes,
Yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. But, that's just what we do. We take a peek in there. With senior dogs, is there other things you can think of or tips that have helped you get through it comfortably with them, comfortable for them.
Yeah, I mean, just being patient. I think that that's something that tests a lot of, folks too. Not
Mhm.
necessarily test them, but you have to be really patient with these guys. And so, you've seen videos and things like that where maybe people shouldn't have been grooming those dogs. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe somebody else should have been doing it. They do take a lot of time. You
Yeah.
can't whip through them often. And sometimes you want to go faster because they are a senior dog and you want to kind of just get it over with, right? But, for me, I think patience is the key. Just it's really important to take your time and just give them love and, and just don't do anything that maybe doesn't feel right or feel comfortable,
You got to
cuz
give them more time to digest the
yeah.
process because they're not seeing and hearing so well, or
Yeah.
their skin is sensitive. So, you know, I agree with you 100%. I typically always schedule at least a half an hour
Yeah.
additionally, just what if he needs a break? What if all of a sudden he is having an issue with me drying him today and he never did? Well, I want to have that prepared in my schedule because I know a
Yeah.
senior dog could at any day just decide, oh no, that dryer's it scares me. Never did before, but it does now.
Yeah.
So it's scheduling another half an hour is okay. And groomers I think, well, like, geez, a half an hour. What if I didn't need it? Well, for goodness sake, then take a lunch break because you deserve that.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you don't use the half an hour, do something that you need, or
Yeah.
make some calls, make your reminder calls so you don't have to do it afterwards. But hopefully,
Yeah.
everybody's using grooming software these days because that's how you really keep your business moving and save time with
I
grooming
have
softwares.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge. You really have to it's hard to try to stay on schedule, especially well, and me and like I'm like taking pictures and having fun. And so it's that's a struggle for me sometimes, but I'll be like, focus, right? And then
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I should make a video. like, and so
Yeah, some people may say, a lot of people that watch my YouTube videos, they say to me, "You're so good with the old dogs, with the senior dogs, with puppies. Why don't you just specialize in that and do that?" And I'll be honest with you, Michelle, I need a break from the senior dogs.
yeah.
I'm holding it together for them. I'm bringing the confidence to the grooming table like I need to,
Yes.
but it's hard for me. If I had to do that 8 hours a day, and always be concerned about this dog. I mean, you're always concerned about the dogs you groom,
Yes.
but I mean, over hyper focusing because he's a senior dog. I think it would be too taxing on me.
It's exhausting because then you get to the next one that's just one that's easy peasy,
And
comes
it's like,
every
whew, I needed
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, you can just
A
kind of
reset.
relax a little bit. I
Yeah.
have a quiche hound that I swear is trying to die every time he comes to my shop. And so
You're
like
like that.
he's like 15 years old. I adore him. He's just the cutest thing ever. And he's an outside dog. And so I ended up having to give him a really tight haircut.
Mhm.
And of course that would ruffle feathers of the quiche hound community. This is what the
Yeah.
owner wanted. And the reason and now he just kind of lives in this backyard enclosure. Like he's got acres and whatever. And that's another where you just modify and do what's best for the dog. So I
Yeah.
gave him a haircut, and I'll tell you, the moment it's so painful for me to brush and brush and brush him, right? And the
Yeah.
owner can't, really brush him anymore.
Hmm.
And so he came in, and so when I started just trimming instead of brushing, the look of relief, like I swear he looked at me and was like, "Thank you," because the last time he was there, I was like really brushing through all this, and you could tell he was so
It was
uncomfortable.
too much.
He can't really stand anymore. And so, I talked to his owner and he's like, and he always wants me to cut it. And I always want to brush it out, right?
You're
Because
always
he's a
like,
quiche hound.
no, we're not cutting
Yes.
into our double coats.
Yes. And so, and I had to shave him years ago because the first time I showed up, he was really, really mad.
Matted and impacted.
Yes. Yeah. And like the blow dryer wasn't blowing that out. Like
Nope.
nothing was making it, and it all came out in like a
And
piece.
you do have to make those executive decisions sometimes.
Yes.
You also made the executive decision that when he became a senior dog and couldn't endure all that
Yeah.
brushing, you're like, okay, now we're going to break a rule for him.
Yes.
For him, I'm going to trim this double coated dog, but not with a 7 blade, with maybe
Yes.
half-inch guard comb, 3/8 or
I
three
think
quarter.
I think I use a 1 inch. I mean,
So
so
that's
it wasn't like super
pretty high.
short.
Yeah.
So it was enough. Like I blow dried him, but he was really long. And so I felt even bad for doing that. But it was what needed to be done. It was the right thing. And so I think at the end of the day, I always leave my shop knowing that I did the right thing all day long, whether it's telling a customer, that we had to do something different or whatever. Like I always
Mhm.
try to just do the right thing and do what's best for the animal. And I think it's important to explain things well too. It's important that we communicate really good with our
To the
customers.
client?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And if
sure.
we explain things well, if I'm ever gonna had to shave a dog or anything, I'm always gonna call them first and take photos and send videos and say, "This is what's going on. This is what I think we need to
And
do."
this is why I think we should make this decision today together.
Yes.
You and the pet owner.
Abs
Absolutely. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
a team. And you treat
absolutely.
them like you're on a team, they're gonna play like a team player that you both have the best interest of the dog
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Do you think people should charge more for senior dogs? What's your feelings on that?
I mean,
I know what.
I think it's based on time,
Yeah,
if it takes a really long time, then people have to, especially big ones.
yeah.
When that schnauzer was at my shop, that giant schnauzer, I didn't charge for 4 hours. Like, the dog was spending a
You were
lot of
doing
time.
other things while he was taking a break.
Absolutely, absolutely, but I think you do have to charge accordingly.
Yeah.
And it takes, if your dog's at my shop and I'm working on them for 3 hours straight, I could do three small dogs in that time,
Yes.
very easily.
That's
So,
right.
and I think that's what a lot of folks have a hard time understanding is, maybe you bring me a German Shepherd, and you're like, it's just a bath, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
not. If you
Oh
brought
no,
me a
no, no.
senior German Shepherd, it's going to take me at least 2.5 hours to just bathe and blow dry this dog and
And brush
trim.
him out.
Lord knows they're going to fight me for their nail trim.
Yeah.
So,
Well, that's what's so awesome about in today's era, and you're a content creator, I'm a content creator. That has brought a lot of awareness to pet parents. They can see what goes on in the grooming
yeah,
session for a shepherd, for a Samoyed, for a doodle, for an old dog, for a puppy.
yeah,
They can now see it and they can understand. And I think it's wonderful
yeah,
that there is so much. We live in an information packed era. Everybody's wants the information, and it's available to everybody. So their pet parents are more enlightened these days about what goes into my dog's grooming session. Say they have a schnauzer, they're like, what does a groomer do when they
yeah,
groom a schnauzer? Oh, I go over to Go Groomer, type in mini schnauzer. Oh, she's got 10 videos on mini and they are
yeah,
watching it. And I get comments, people say, I have one, I don't groom it, but this video is wonderful. Now I understand what my dog is going through at a grooming salon to
yeah.
get to the outcome when I pick him up and he looks awesome. So,
Yeah. No, I mean,
yeah.
it's a lot of work, but we do it because we like it, right? I mean, we
Yeah.
love it, and I think it's a good creative outlet, and
Oh,
we
yeah.
get to make them beautiful. And I think that's why for me at the end, I always love taking photos, especially of senior dogs, though, because I every
Uh,
time they come in, I don't know if it's their last one, so I really try to make those special.
yeah.
And I know I'll have to share. I have one with a senior group. Was four dogs. Two of them have recently passed. One is that Maltese I was referring to, but I
Yeah.
got a really great picture of the four of them together. So that was really special. And so I just, I try to do little things like
And
that.
then
So
you can share it with the pet parent and they are so touched by
they
that,
are,
especially after these dogs start to leave us.
yeah,
Speaking of, the last thing I really want to talk about with our audience here, from a groomer's perspective, both you and I have gone through this, referring to senior dogs, what it's like for us when we get that call. We get that call
awful.
and you're bawling. It's a voicemail, Amy. I gotta tell you. And they can't even get the words out. And you're bawling because you know what they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
He
You
passed
know what they're
away.
telling you because they're calling you. When they call
Oh,
me, I'm
God.
like,
Oh, it tears your heart out. These are dogs that you've worked with for many, many years, sometimes their whole lives. We feel that as groomers too
yeah,
when they leave us. It hurts.
yeah,
You think of all the times together, all the things you worked through leading you up to all the awesome grooming sessions you ended up having forever after because it were all that bonding happened with you and the dog and that trust. And that's how you got to have this wonderful working relationship with this pet, and now they're gone.
well, and
And
we've
you feel
lost
that.
pets, so we know how that feels.
Oh
So
yeah,
we're sympathetic to that
we are
too.
so. But we also hurt when we lose our client pets. It
Yeah.
hurts.
Yeah. No, it's devastating. Yeah. And
So
it's hard.
that's another side that I want people to know, that us groomers have to go through, not just losing our own pets. We have to go through it with your pets too when we lose them. It
And
breaks
that
our
was
heart.
something I didn't prepare for that. I,
No,
I
it's
really
hard.
I really didn't. I knew it'd be, I knew when you lost dogs it would be sad, and I think I thought I would just be really sympathetic because I've lost dogs and I know how hard it is. But then we're also sad. I mean, so we're crying because
Yeah,
because we lost someone or something that we cared about too. We saw them every 6 weeks and, or 8 weeks or whatever, and we formed a relationship with them and adore them and love them too. And it's really hard, and
it's part
I
of our job. It's a part not a lot of people talk about that.
that's what I said. Like I didn't expect that. That was something I had last year. I'd lost so many dogs,
Yeah.
and it was really hard. And so,
Yeah.
but you just try to be understanding. And I'll have customers that have lost their dogs that still come visit me.
Yeah, for sure. That's because you guys are family.
Yeah.
They 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 think of us when they trust their groomer. This is their baby. They're
Yeah.
walking out of the salon and leaving that dog. They have a huge amount of trust for us that
Yeah.
their dog is safe. And so, in other words, they really bond with us,
Yeah.
and believe in us.
Yeah. And we believe in them because
Mm, mhm.
because we want to do what's best for them. And there's
Yeah,
been dogs that have come in before and I'm like, I don't know if this is going to work.
sure.
They're
We
just
have to
tough.
make those decisions. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
And then I'll just be like, no, I'm gonna, I think, okay, we're gonna do it another one. And I'll really try to give a lot of instruction to the owner of what I want you to try to do to desensitize and things like that. And then it'll be like a year later, and I'm like, look at us go. Like you
We did it.
know, we did it. Yeah.
And there's also those times where you just won't be able to reach the dog. There may have been some fear
Yeah.
period that's ingrained in that dog's brain for whatever reason, and once every 6 weeks you just can't work him through it. It
Yeah.
needs a little more than that to work through a fear period, I think. But
I think we should
yeah,
talk about that on our next episode.
fear periods. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
sure. I would
Yeah.
love to. We have
Yeah.
so many great topics coming,
There's
guys. We
so
can't
many great
wait.
topics.
And it's all keeping it real too.
Yep.
It's gonna be so good.
It's
Do
gonna
you
be so good.
Do you think we nailed this one, Michelle? Are we
I
good?
think
Can we
I
leave
think
our
we nailed
audience
it.
with all this information? With a big hug?
So I think they're gonna come crawling back for more.
With their tails wagging?
With their tails wagging. It's gonna be
Yay!
the greatest thing ever.
I agree. And I can't wait for those episodes, especially with you, Michelle. I love talking to you. Um, I love you as a person, but
Aw,
you are
ditto.
yeah, you're a fantastic groomer too. And I think together we're just a great little duo. I
Yeah,
really think so.
I think we're gonna make some waves. It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Good waves. We're gonna
Good
ride the
waves.
waves too.
Yes. Well, stay tuned. We'll be back.
Yes, we will. Till next time.
Bye.
And that wraps up today's episode of Dog Grooming Unleashed. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. We are truly grateful to have you as part of our Unleashed community. Don't forget, we drop new episodes every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So grab your coffee or your clippers and hang out with us again, my friend, next week. If today's conversation made you laugh, taught you something new, or just made you feel seen as a groomer or a pet enthusiast, please take a second to like, subscribe, and share this episode with a friend. And we'd love to hear from you. Drop your thoughts, questions, or even your funniest grooming moments in the comments. We might just feature your story or question in the next episode. And we can't wait to keep learning, laughing, and growing right alongside of you. Stay kind, stay curious, and keep grooming from your heart.